Hi everyone. Tonight we're going to do another very low cost Christmas gift that you can do. I found these 100% cotton tea towels, believe it or not, at the dollar store. So don't forget to check those kind of thrifty places for things that are on clearance. They were 2 tea towels in a package for $3. So I've got them separated. We're going to work on one tonight. And in my leftover scrap stash, I have some of this blue jean material that has been decorated. It came this way. So we're going to use this to make a hanging towel to put over the handle on your either refrigerator or your oven door to give as a gift. So the first thing we're going to do is take our tea towel, and I'm going to work from the wrong side, and I know it's the wrong side because it's got the tag on there. So I'm going to take this, and here's what I'm going to do. This one happens to have lines, which makes it easy to measure. So I'm going to take this and come over to the middle with that first reddish colored line. And then I'm going to take this one and do the same thing. Let me see if I can get them in the middle here. There we go. And what I'm doing is I'm actually looking at the end right here. Let me turn this over so you can see it. I was looking at the end right here of the tea towel because here's the 2 red lines. So what I want to do is get this folded so it's in the middle. Doesn't have to be perfect, but close to the middle like that. So once you get it where you want it, then I've got my little trusty iron here. We're going to press that down. Let's get those little creases in there to make our job a little bit easier. Okay, now, right now, see what it looks like? I like the color side the best. So for me, that's going to be the front. Now what I'm also going to do is take this white edge that's right here, and I'm going to fold it under on the other red line on both sides. There we go. So now this top part is what I'm going to sew into my blue jean material to make the hanging loop that's going to hold this on the handle of my, I'm actually going to use it on my oven door. You can also put it on your refrigerator door if you want to do that, or a cabinet door. Those all work fine, but they are great for drying your hands on in the kitchen. So let me get this top part here where I'm going to be sewing. Press down as much as I can. Let me add a little bit of pressure to that. And now that I think about it, I am using cotton. I was using some lighter weight fabric earlier, so I turned the heat down. Let me turn that back up a little bit for the cotton. Cotton and wool take a little bit higher heat than other fabrics do. Okay, so that's not too bad. We've got our creases in here. Now let me get a couple of pins. And here's what I'm going to do. You can see this. This is how I've got it folded. Okay. And then on the ends, I just tuck that white edge under. So I'm going to put my pins in here going this way because I'm going to sew across here to hold this all down. And don't forget, we want our pins to be perpendicular to the direction that we're sewing. That way, if we sew over one, it's not going to break our needle. So let me get these in here. Need one more. Nope, I need two more. Sorry. Okay, now you can see what it looks like. Underneath, it's going to look like most of the white fabric. On the outside, it's going to be the decorative fabric. Okay, so now here's what I want to do. I'm going to go over to my sewing machine, and with some cream colored thread, I'm going to sew straight across right there where the towel fold is, where they put the outer edge on the towel all the way around. I'm going to sew right there along that fold. When I get that done, I'll be right back with you. Okay, so I've got my thread in my machine. I've got everything all set up. I've got it on a straight stitch. I do have my 18 gauge jeans needle in here because I'm going through several layers right here. And when I add on the blue jean material, it's going to be even thicker. So I wanted to make sure we had something sturdy to work on that. So put the needle down, put the presser foot down. Let's take 3 or 4 stitches forward, then backwards. That's a good back stitch. We're going to follow right along the line of the little hem that came from the manufacturer. There we go. Now let's get over here to this end. And when we get down here to the end, we're going to do another back stitch. 3 stitches back and then back forward off the end. Cut your thread. Now, I'm going to pull this up here close. I want you to be able to see where I sewed and how I put my pins in there. I hope you can see that. This was the little hem that was put on there from the factory. Here's the folds. See that? Now let me take the pins out for you, so you can see what it looks like. So now, here's the folds we ironed in, and here's where I tucked under the white part on the edge. But when it hangs on your, in my case, the oven door, notice all of this will still be the normal towel look, okay? We only pressed and reduced the size by folding of just the top where we're going to put the blue jean hanger on, okay? So, give me a few minutes. I'm going to switch over to my blue jean material so you can see how we're going to put that together, and I'll be right back with you. Okay, so on our blue jean material, you need 2 pieces of blue jean material. You can see I've got 2 here, and they need to be 6 inches wide, and they need to be 11 inches long. 2 pieces, 6 inches wide, and 11 inches long. All right, so when you get those cut, and by the way, this blue jean material has these little embellishments on it, so I used my everyday scissors so I wouldn't dull my good fabric shears, okay? So always keep that in mind when you're looking at what you're doing. All right, so I'm going to take this, and I want to put my 2 pieces of blue jean material right sides together. And what I want to do is very simple. I want to sew down the outside edges, the long edges, 1/2 inch. So on my guide plate, that's going to be 4/8. So that's where we're going to start out with. So let me get this set up on here. Okay, so we're going to back needle down, presser fit down. We're going to back stitch. We're going to keep the raw edge on the 4/8 line off of our guide plate. We're going to take this down to the very end, and we are going to back stitch. And then we're going to do the same thing to the other side. There's our back stitch at the end. Cut your thread. Okay, I think you can see what that looks like. Okay, now I'm going to pause this for a minute. I'm going to do the other side, and I'll be right back. Okay, we've got that sewed on both sides. So now, very simple, we're going to put our hand in here. We're going to turn this right side out. There we go. Okay, now, you may think this is weird, but I found out from doing this that if I put the seam in the middle, and I'll make one of these seams lay one way, and the other seam lay the other way, it presses very well and holds up very well when I sew it and make the handle that goes onto my towel that's going to hold it onto my oven. So I'm going to pause this for a minute, excuse me, and I'm going to get my pressing cloth, press this, and I'll be right back. Okay, we've got this all pressed, nice, neat, and clean. Now my next step is to turn the insides of the ends underneath and get them ready to top stitch so that all the raveling material doesn't show. So I'm going to do the same thing that I did down here on this one. Tuck this under. Make it all the same amount. I happen to do that one right at a 1/2 inch. So I'm going to do this one the same. Tuck it under. Make it straight. And then we're going to top stitch this shut on both ends. Let me get this straight on here. There you go. Ouch. And there, I think you can see the end of that right there where I've got them both in there. And what I did was I took a couple of pins just to hold them in place while I do the top stitching. So there's that side. Now let's get this side on here. There you go. Now you can see how that is. So that's what I've got on both ends. I think you can see that. Now I'm going to top stitch this 1/8 inch away from the folded edge on both ends, and I will be right back. Okay, so now I've got both ends sewed, and I'm going to be honest with you, when I started sewing this, an 1/8 inch was hard to get it to start going and do the back stitch, so I ended up doing these 1/4 inch. You can see that on both ends. They still look good. They're still nice, neat, and clean. I've trimmed off all my threads on the end, so everything is ready. Now, here's the next part. Here's her towel that we already pressed. This is our end that we sewed across. Now, what we want to do is I'm going to put one end of the towel inside there, like this is going to lay down. I'm going to lay the towel on here about 1 inch inside the blue denim part. Lay it flat. And then what I'm going to do is right on top of that same line that we sewed before on the towel, I'm going to sew that on again. And then I'll show you what the next step is. So I'll be right back. So I think you can see, I'm going to scoot this up here a little closer. I think you can see that I've got this funny foot on here. This actually is my foot that makes a buttonhole. I'm going to put a button here with a buttonhole here to fasten that on when it goes over the handle of my oven. I've got my buttons selected. I chose a gold button because it went with the blue. It goes with the green and the gold and black that's on here. So I'm using this gold button. And I've got this set up to do a regular buttonhole going across in this direction. So I'm going to get that set up under here. When I get that set up, I'll be back so you can see how this works. Before I put this on my machine underneath my buttonhole maker, I wanted to show you that white line where I put the chalk line. That's where my buttonhole is going to be. That's the center of my buttonhole. So I wanted to show you how I mark that on here before I put it on the machine. I'll be right back. Okay, so I've got my needle down on the bottom end, the end that's down here of my white mark. It's going to go across and up to the other end, zigzag over it, making one side of the buttonhole. Then it's going to come around, come on this side, go up, and zigzag down on the other side to make the other buttonhole. You watch this work, and as soon as it's done, I will take it off and show you what it looks like. Okay, it's back down at the bottom. Now I will pause for a minute because I just broke my thread, and I will rethread this. Okay, so got the thread fixed, and now it's going to go back up here across the top and down the right side of the buttonhole. Okay, that slow part, that's where it's knotting it off, and that means the buttonhole's finished. So we'll cut our thread, lifts it up. Let's pull this out. Now you can see what it looks like. So right there on the center of that buttonhole, I'm going to cut that open, and I'll be right back with you. So I used my little X-Acto knife to cut this open. I think you can see that now where my finger's going through there. If you use the X-Acto knife, be very careful. Don't cut your thread. Only the fabric that's there in the middle. You can also use your everyday scissors if you want to do that. But again, be very careful not to cut anything. Okay, now I'm going to put this back over here. This is the inside of the towel we sewed on here. This is going to go down like this. And what I want to do is take my gold button, and I want to put it on the towel right in the middle where I made that buttonhole, right there. So this button is going to be right here, and that's where I'm going to sew it on. All right, now here's another trick. My machine sews buttons on for you and does it heavy duty. So let me get that little foot to do that. This is what the foot looks like. It is for my Janome. This is a foot number T, or a letter T. It goes on here, and it goes so that if I can do this where you can see it, there's a little hook right back here at the very back, and then it snaps up into place on the front one. So now we have that in place. This was allowing my machine to make a buttonhole, so I'm going to raise that back up. Now, let's bring this over here so that we can get it right where we want the button to be sewn on. So let me get this under here. All right, now I need to turn it sideways because it sews the button on left to right. And I'm going to change my setting here to buttons. I'm going to lower my feed dog. Remember, whoops, I just dropped my button. Your feed dogs are these bumpy things underneath here. I'm going to press the button over here on the side, lower my feed dog, because we want those out of the way. Let me put this back under here. There we go. And I am going to put my button, I want the round side up for me if I can do that. And I'm going to put this under here. I am going to line up my needle with the button, the little hole in the button that is on the left. There we go. Now that's lined up. Now, I want to very slowly bring it over to the other side and make sure I've got it lined up right. I need to make that a little bit smaller. Okay, let me try it again here. Yeah, there we go. Okay, now it's sewing that on. Now, that sewed it on once. I'm going to do it a second time to make it stronger and more reinforced. So this is the second time. There we go. When that goes slow, it's tying a knot in it. We'll cut the thread and our button's on there. Lift this up. Let's pull that out. Let me trim off our thread that we started with. Look at this. That did that for me. Now, that's also double sewed, so it's very strong. Now, I'm going to put this part over that, and this is where my button is going to go through here. Now, this is very thick, so don't be surprised. I may have to play with it for a minute to get that to go through there. There we go. Now, that's very nice and tight. So when I put this over the handle of my oven, or like I said, you can do it on your refrigerator or a cabinet, that's going to stay and it's not going to fall off. So I'm going to back up my camera back here a little bit, and I'm going to hope that you can see most of this. And I honestly will leave this tag on here because it tells what kind of fabric and the washing care instructions on here for whoever I give it to. And then that person can cut that off. But look, isn't that cute for a Christmas gift? There we go. There's another one. And there's 2 towels in a package. 2 towels was $3. So 1 towel, $1.50. I used one of my scrap buttons, and I used some of my scrap blue jean material. No other cost. $1.50. We were done. That is an economical Christmas gift for this season. Hope you like that. Talk to you later.